Everything I wish I had because I don't, because I'm single. Well, hello peoples of the internet, my name is Kevin and welcome back to the final video for 2019. Dun dun dun. That sounds more dramatic than it needs to be. Okay guys, so for today's video I am bringing you my best books of 2019. These are the best books that I read this year and are my personal favorites of the entire year. I think I've already said this before in a video, I didn't have the best reading year. Like I didn't read many 5-star books, but the ones I picked were all 5-star books and books I absolutely loved so much. And I actually only have 5 books to talk about, and then there's like 2 honorable mentions because I didn't want to make like a top 7 books of 2019 because I was like, that just kind of sounds awkward. Like 7, as much as I love the number 7, like we kind of stand number 7, like it's just a great number, I think. Like it's a very lucky number as well. But you know what? Top 7 just doesn't sound right to me, so I'm gone with the top 5, and the other 2 books are just going to be honorable mentions. But anyways, before we get into all of that jazz, if you're watching this the day I am uploading, it is New Year's Eve, so happy New Year to you all. If you're in the east of the world, it might already be 2020 by the time you're watching this, so happy New Year to you and all the rest of us to where it's still only New Year's Eve. I hope we all have an amazing year that's coming up. We hope we have an amazing 2020. I hope it's going to be great, and I am very excited for this year coming because we have lots of different things coming up, and I'm just excited because New Year means I get to travel to new places, and that's what I'm so excited about because we all know I love to travel, and I'm just so excited to see where I venture to this coming year, so I'm very excited. But also I'm looking forward to seeing what books I will read next year because there's so many great books coming out next year. Like I'm so excited, but I'm going to do a video about like 20 books I want to read in 2020, so that video is coming and I'll talk about anticipated releases then. For right now, we are talking about my favorite books of 2019, so let's just get straight into this. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with my 2 honorable mentions. So these would have been books 6 and 7 in this list, but as I said, I'm only doing a top 5, so I'm not gonna really talk about these too much. The first honorable mention that I have is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I read this book back in February or March, I believe, of 2019, and I absolutely devoured this book because I just loved it so much. It was so fast paced. The world, everything, the characters, and like the plot twists in here. I was so obsessed because I thought that this book was like one of those books that was like overhyped, so I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like it that much, and I was proven wrong because I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I literally loved it so much, and yeah, I just had to talk about it really quick. Then the other honorable mention that I have is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This is also one of the very first books I read this year. I think it's actually the second book I read in 2019, and it was one that I was so surprised by because I had an idea that I would like this book, but I didn't expect to like it as much as I did because I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Literally loved it so much. I related to Eliza so much, and the representation of anxiety in here was just amazing. I just loved Eliza and I loved her webcomic. Like I really wish it was a real thing and I could go read because I just loved it so much. And yeah, this was definitely one that I'm so glad I read, and another one that lived up to the hype for me. So now that we got the honorable mentions out of the way, let's get to the good stuff and my top 5. Let me know if any of these top 5 books I'm going to talk about are also 5 of your favorite books that you read this year, or maybe you've read them before, like because some of them didn't come out this year, so you might have read them like a couple years ago. But let me know what you thought of them when you did read them. And yes, anyways, let's get straight into this. I'm so excited. So coming in at number 5 for me is The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman. This book, if you recall, when I read it during a 24-hour readathon video. I'll link it up here if you haven't seen that video, where I talked a lot about this, and this was a book that honestly surprised me so much because this book, if you don't know, is said to be similar to The Raven Boys meets Stranger Things, and other times it's also said to be similar to Riverdale, which honestly, if you just look at the cover, like that just screams Riverdale. And like I'm kind of ashamed to say that I love Riverdale, even though I haven't watched like the new season, or like I haven't watched it in a really long time, but I just remember it was like a guilty pleasure show for me. So I know that's like an unpopular opinion because I know a lot of people think Riverdale is trash, and like it kind of is, but like at the same time I stan. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So this book is said to be similar to The Raven Boys and Stranger Things and Riverdale, and you guys know I don't really like the Raven Boys quartet. Like I read the first book, kind of liked it, second one did not like it, and then I DNF'd the series. When I heard it was similar to The Raven Boys, I was like, ooh, no, this ain't gonna happen. I'm not gonna like this. And I still bought it because I wanted to read it because I saw all the hype, and I was like, you know what, maybe, just maybe, I will actually like it. And That turned out to be correct. So we love my intuition. So basically, if you don't know what this book is about, it is about this town where there are these founding families, and the founding families all have like powers and stuff. These families like protect the town from the Grey, which is like the forest. If you go into the forest, like shit goes down in there. Like you just don't go into the forest. Like you just don't go there. It's like Harry Potter. Don't go into the Forbidden Forest. Same for this book. Don't go into the forest, you know? Moral of the story, just don't go into forests. This has been a PSA. So yeah, basically that's what this book is about, and I don't want to really say too much more about it because I didn't know that much about it, and I think that's a really good way of going into reading this. But I just absolutely adored it so much. The atmosphere in this book is so good and creepy, and also I listened to this as well on the audiobook, and there's parts in here where there's like creepy chants and like songs, and like the narrator sings the songs in such a creepy way. So if you are thinking about reading this, I would highly recommend that you listen to the audiobook as well, because it's just so good. Like, I just fell in love with all of the different characters because there's like teenagers for like each of the founding families, and they're like the main characters that are in the book, and I love them all. Isaac in particular, if you've read the book, is my fave. Like, we love Isaac in this house. I stan him very much. And yeah, I just cannot wait to read the sequel, which I think is coming out in February of 2020. So I'm very excited to read that one because I just love this one so much. And I believe when I originally read this, I gave it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. But like ever since I've read it, like I look back and I'm like, why did I give it 4.5? Like I don't remember what my issue was that was 4.5. So I've like boosted it up to a 5-star because when I think back about this book, I just remember absolutely loving it. So I'm like, it was definitely a 5 stars if I think about it, loving it so much. So 4.5 was just not right. She's a 5-star book, and she's also number 5 on my list for the best books of 2019. Coming in at number 4 on this list is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alira Sands. Now this is a book that has been everywhere on BookTube, on Book Twitter, Bookstagram, everywhere for years. Like since I started my BookTube channel, it has been everywhere, and like I finally picked it up and bought it, and then I finally read it this year, and I absolutely loved it so much. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this book is about at this point, but if you don't, it's basically about this boy named Aristotle and this boy named Dante who become friends when they're really young, and then they grow up becoming friends, and just stuff happens from there. I honestly don't want to say too much more in case you don't know what it's about, but I'm pretty sure you probably do because like it's everywhere on BookTube. But if you don't, just know it's about a boy who meets another boy when they're really young and they grow up being friends, and that's all you need to know. And just read it if that intrigues you alone, because it's such an adorable and cute book. Like I just can't with the cuteness. And also the way this book is written is so beautifully poetic and lyrical. It's just such a beautiful book. Like I literally can't describe it in any other way than beautiful and cute. Beautiful and cute, I think, are the best ways to describe this book because it just plays with your heartstrings. This book made me cry. It hit me with all of the feels. I felt single, but like every book makes me feel single these days, so love that for me. But still, it's just such an adorable and cute book. You will literally fall in love with Aristotle. You will fall in love with Dante, and they are just two precious little beings that need to be protected at all costs, and I would literally take a bullet for them. I would even give up reading for them. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. So yeah, if you haven't picked this up, I would just highly recommend you read it. Like, the hype is real for this book. It's such a beautiful and adorable book, and I just love it so much. And also, this was another 5 out of 5 star book for me. I also read this in that same readathon that I read The Devouring Grey in, so that was a really great reading day for me when I read both of the 2 books that ended up in my best books for 2019. So I read 2 great books in that readathon, so love that. Okay, so now we get into the top 3. This is where it gets juicy. So anyways, let me know also if you can predict what my best book is for 2019. I feel like you probably will be able to guess, but still, just let me know if you guessed correctly. But anyways, we're moving on to the number 3 spot. And for number 3, it is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. This is literally my favorite graphic novel of all time. I literally love this series so much. I don't own volume 2 yet, which is kind of a crime. Like, I'm offended at myself for not owning it yet, so I need to go change that very soon. I have already read volume 2 because I read it when it was online before it was in a physical format like this. So anyways, I have read it, I just don't own it yet, but that's besides the point. And if you don't know what this graphic novel is about, I'm literally just going to read the little tiny synopsis that's on the back because that's literally all you need to know if you want to read this. So basically it says, boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. There you go. That's all you need to know. You need to go pick this up. You need to go read it. You need to tell me if you loved it, if you hated it. I need to know. And you just need to fall in love with Charlie and Nick like I have, because their relationship, their adorableness, it's just everything I wish I had because I don't, because I'm single. And yeah, it's just such an amazing book. I would highly recommend you read it if you haven't. And I just feel like I can't say much more about this book. Like, I just feel like you need to read it yourself. Like, I feel like everyone loves it. There's a reason we all love it. Just go read it. It's just so good, so heartwarming, and it will stop your heart. Heart stopper. See what I did there? I'm so freaking funny. But yes, it's just so good, and I just loved it so much. And I'm honestly kind of surprised this isn't my number 2, but you'll see why. Because my top 2 for 2019 were just such good books, but like this is also just such a good book. Like, it was really hard for me to come up with my top 3. So yeah, I just love this. Loved it so much. Please go read it. So now we get into the top 2. This is where shit is getting intense. Well, not really. I'm being very dramatic because it's literally just books. It's not that deep. But let me live my life. So my book that is coming in at the number 2 spot is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho, and this book I love so freaking much. If you don't know what this book is about, it follows our main character, Mi Young, who is an 18-year-old girl, but she is also a gumiho, which means that she is a nine-tailed fox, which also means that she has to feed on the energy of men in order to survive. That's all I'm going to tell you about this book. If you want to know more about it yourself, you can go read the synopsis online, because I only knew that bit that I literally just told you, and I read it and I absolutely loved it. So I think if you go in with just knowing that, I feel like you'll also love it just as much as I did. So, well, at least I hope you'll love it, because I just think this book is so good. The main things that why I just love this book so much is, first of all, the characters. Like, I fell in love with them so quickly. Like, I literally love Mi Young and I love Ji-hoon. Like, they are just such amazing characters, and like Ji-hoon, I just love him. Like, literally so precious. And Mi Young, I love her as well because she's kind of sassy, and we know I always love the sassy characters, so like I feel like that's why me and Mi Young like relate to each other, because she's just so badass and she's just so full of sass. So I just love it. Like, I have to stan. But then also more reasons as to why I love this is because Korean folklore that is in here was just so fun to read about, and I loved it so much because in this book, in between chapters, there's parts just on the folklore about like gummihos, and I found that so fascinating to read about. Like, I literally was in awe reading it. And yeah, I definitely want to read more Korean folklore, and I definitely want to do more research about that, and I actually might be doing something with Chloe coming up about that. Not going to say too much more about that, but you'll see soon. And it's also like a fantasy book that I just feel like I've always wanted to read. Like, I've always wanted to read something that was set in Seoul in Korea, and like something that is like about a nine-tailed fox, because I love kitsunes. Like, I know that they're not the same thing, but like kitsunes are the things I absolutely loved. And I know there is a book by Julie Kagawa that I need to read because it's also about kitsunes. So if you've read that book, let me know if you think I would like it. But basically, I have a fascination with kitsunes because I loved kitsunes in the show Teen Wolf and everything. And then this book was about a nine-tailed fox. It's similar to it, and I just knew I would love it because I had such a fascination with kitsunes. So yeah, I'm just so glad that I read it and I loved it. And also, I just cannot wait for the sequel for this to come out. I believe it's coming out next year, and I cannot wait to read it and see how this story is going to continue. And I just cannot wait to be reunited with these characters. And if you haven't picked it up, I would just highly recommend. It's such a good book. Okay, people, so coming in at number 1 for my best book of 2019 is, drumroll, Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Is anyone surprised? No. I feel like we all knew that this was coming. Like, no one is really that shocked. Like, if you're honestly shocked, like, I don't know what to say to you, because I feel like everyone knew this was going to be my favorite book of this year. Like, as soon as I read this book, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I want to reread it. I want the movie adaptation to come out like right now. I want a sequel, even though I doubt there's going to ever be a sequel, but I just want more because I love this book so freaking much. So if you don't know what this book is about, which I don't know how you don't know because this book was everywhere, but I'm going to give you some recap and let you know what it's about. I got you. Basically, this is about the son of the President of the United States. His name is Alex, and he's here. And then it's about the Prince of Wales, which is here, and his name is Henry. And basically they are like rivals, like they literally hate each other. And then they're like forced into like a fake friendship, and then things unfold from there. Maybe they go from enemies to lovers. I don't know, you're gonna have to read and find out because I love it. This book I read when I was on holiday in Portugal, and I literally loved it so much. I connected to the relationship so much. I just fell in love with Henry and Alex's relationship, and I just loved it so much. It's also a very steamy and like smutty kind of book, which I wasn't expecting, but I greatly appreciated. And also, I've said this before, but I feel like this is a book I've just always wanted to read because I am a sucker for those movies where it's like the prince falling in love with like an ordinary girl and like she becomes like the princess. Like The Prince and I, those kind of movies, like I love them so much. Like that was like my jam. I always loved those kind of movies. And I've always obviously wanted like a movie or a story where it's like a boy and a boy, because obviously I want to see myself represented like that, and I feel like I want to see that. And so when this book came out, I couldn't believe that like something that I've wanted for so long was finally out in the world, and I just felt so happy that I finally got something that I've been craving and wanting for so many years growing up. And I feel like that's why I love this book so much, is because I have that connection and that meaning with it. I know a lot of people have like criticisms toward this book, but for me, it's just something I've always wanted to see myself represented in, and I'm just so glad that it exists, and it just means the absolute world to me. I'm just so happy I have this book in my life, and I just love it so much. If you haven't picked it up, guys, I would just highly recommend it. It's literally such a good book. I can't say anything else about it. Like, I just love it so much. Also, I just wish we lived in the world that this book is set in, because the world would be such a happier and better place. Okay guys, so there you have it. They are my best books that I read in the year 2019. I think that those books just really represent me as a person as well, because there's a lot of queer literature in there. Also, I just cannot wait to see what I'm going to read next year and see what books are going to make my best books of 2020. Let me know down below in the comments what is your favorite book that you read in 2019. Do you also love any of these books that I talked about? Let me know down below in the comments, and we can just get a conversation going talking about our favorite books, and honestly that just sounds like the best time. So I love that. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. I really hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for all of the support you gave me throughout 2019. Honestly, I'm so grateful for every single one of you, and I literally love you all so much from the bottom of my heart. Like, literally love you all so much, and just thank you so much for the best 2019. I'm just so happy, and I just love you all. So yeah, I'm gonna stop being really soppy and weird, and I'm gonna go, and I shall see you all next year and next decade. Sorry, I just had to with the dad jokes, okay? I'm sorry. Bye, guys.